So in terms of what happened to the other provinces during the Oblivion crisis, we have to look at what we do and don't know. What we do know is something about at least half of the provinces during the crisis, and when I say something, I mean it's something either really small or nearly non-existent. With the other half of the provinces, which fall under the category of what we don't know, we haven't got a single bit of information on them during the entire crisis. Like nothing. But fear not friends, I'm sure through our keen senses and smart intuition, we can come up with a quickie in detail on what the hell happened during this time in all these different places. This video to me is just something really fun I got to research on because you were never really told during Oblivion what is happening in the rest of the world. To many it can almost feel like Cyrodiil is the only one suffering, but trust me guys, it wasn't. The entire continent of Tamriel suffered in some way. Nobody got singled out here, nobody was a favorite. Everyone got equal treatment. For those who do and don't know, the Oblivion crisis was Mehrunes Dagon's attempt alongside the mythic Dawn cult at seizing Nirn for himself for like the 4th time because Dagon honestly is just terrible at trying to conquer. Has anybody else noticed that? Like legit, this dude cannot conquer to save his skin. But yeah, the mythic Dawn under the guidance of Manco Cameron, a high elf of course, helped Dagon do all this by opening these gates to Oblivion all around Tamriel and letting Dagon's armies flow through into Tamriel to kill and take over. But thanks to the wonderful Martin Septum and the champion of Cyrodiil, Tamriel and Nirn were saved when he turned into a big scary dragon and drove Dagon back to Oblivion. That's the gist of the event really, but let's move on to what happened to each province and the long-lasting effects on each one that we know about. We will do Cyrodiil in a bit, but how about we start off with something that's not Cyrodiil to keep it interesting. We will start with Morrowind because it's one of the places that most people know about, because if you haven't played the Morrowind game, you have probably played the Dragonborn DLC. So I have tried to piece together all the stuff and I'm just going to tell you it in the form of this happened here and this here and all that. So straight off the bat, two very key characters decided that of all times to disappear, it would be at the moment of the Oblivion crisis. The Tribunal member Vivek disappeared and the Nerevarine decided that a trip to Akavir was a good idea when swarms of Daedra were attacking his homeland. These two peeps were the strongest peeps Morrobanter had, so when they weren't there, it would prove to be more scary and difficult for the Dunmer of Morrowind. So the city of Ald'ruhn was attacked where the giant mud crab Scar is. The Dunmer were forced to resurrect this monster and use it to fight the Daedra, but apparently gigantic crabs aren't enough to fend off hundreds of Daedra. After this successful siege by the Daedra, they decided to lay siege to the Ghost Gate, which is the access to Red Mountain, and to that my friends I allow you to know that nobody knows how that siege went. Bethesda found it a good idea to tell us where there was a siege and that there was a siege but not the outcome of the siege, and seeing as how it erupted and destroyed everything around it eventually, bar we have a survivor of the siege to tell us in the future, we won't ever truly know how it went. So yeah, some of the houses worked together to fend off the Daedra, and House Halalu proved to be as useless as ever, with gold being the only thing they're any good at. But yeah, Morrowind got smashed and pretty beaten up during it, but Morrowind is also the most informed place we have aside from Cyrodiil in terms of what happened, so don't expect this much information with the other 2 or 3, because there isn't any unfortunately, or to my knowledge there isn't. So on to Skyrim. Well, it's Skyrim. You have seen what Skyrim looks like, right? There isn't any concrete information for Skyrim's time during the Oblivion crisis, nor do any of the NPCs seem to have any sort of knowledge of their ancestors having to battle and defend the mountainous terrain of Skyrim against these hordes of Daedra, but I can imagine they did. I like to think with all of Skyrim's wars and battles that some of the ruined forts may have been used to defend against the Daedra forces. Maybe, I can't really tell, but maybe I am missing something and there is actually a library of information I just happen to miss out on. But just use your imagination somewhat because Bethesda ain't gonna fuel it for you. Now thankfully the Oblivion crisis did something good by shortening the amount of high elves there were in the province of the Summerset Isles, but obviously wasn't enough to stop the Thalmor in the long run. I kid, but seriously they really did kill a lot of high elves. Refugees leaving the Isles were killed and slaughtered in the hundreds and hundreds, thousands. The Daedra conjured storms at sea and just shredded any kind of boat that decided to unfortunately attempt leaving the docks. The Crystal Tower that stood there was the last bastion of hope in defending the remaining elves. They say that so many Daedra were killed that they had to start climbing walls of the dead that were piling up towards the last elves to kill them. There was that many killed. That's pretty insane. But once again, you know, that's pretty much it. Afterwards the Thalmor took credit for getting rid of the gates, which we all know is an absolute stinking lie, but sure, people were just so happy the gates were gone that Maik could have said he vanished them and people would have believed him. To be honest, there isn't a whole lot for me to go over in terms of what you don't already know about Cyrodiil. If you want to see how the Oblivion crisis affected it, then go play Oblivion. I highly recommend it as it's my favorite Elder Scrolls game. But the biggest thing to affect the Empire in terms of the crisis was how many Imperials were killed in defending it. Like, it escalates above the thousands. A lot of Imperials died. This is why the Empire couldn't win the Great War eventually, and all that crap happened, and there wasn't enough men to do it, so it's weird to think that if the crisis never happened, the Civil War in Skyrim would have never happened either. And I would be a much happier person not having to have done that questline. The last place with information that I can give you in regards to my own knowledge and research I have done is the Black Marsh. And when I say information, I mean anything worth telling you really. But man, let me tell you about them lizard boys who go and absolutely Shrek the Daedra. I mean Shrek, these guys make the Daedra regret attacking the Black Marsh. I kid you not. Everyone else is getting battered and killed and massacred, and these guys take the fight directly inside of Oblivion by going through the opened gates. So basically a faction of Argonians known as the Zalil? I have not got a clue how in God's name you say that, I just know. But they were waiting for the gates, they were waiting, and they swarmed the Daedra before they even knew what was happening. Listen to this, the Daedra commanders of each gate had to close the gate to avoid being completely overrun. Like dude, what even? Like go Argonians, I give props and kudos to them, they deserve it. How could anyone expect this of a lizard race? I don't know, but I gained massive respect to the Argonians for this. In terms of elsewhere, Valenwood, High Rock and Hammerfell, yeah, no, there isn't really anything, like at all. You can scour the Imperial Library, dialogue with NPCs, books hidden everywhere in all the games, there isn't anything. It's like Bethesda just didn't bother. I know, I won't be too hard on my little toddywad. But sure, we can pretty much guess that it goes the same for every single province. Everyone gets attacked and all that, and then Martin and the champions save all, and the Argonians are bae and should rule the world. I'm actually going to change my favourite race from Wood Elves to Argonians because, man, I can't get over that. I hate you. Anyways, if I made a mistake or something, let me know. I shouldn't have, but this was the other provinces during the Oblivion crisis. So be sure to leave your suggestions like last time in the comments below and what you want to see next or whatever in terms of what topic we should discuss or that. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed and I'll see you all in a few days.